The invocation will be given by St. James Cumberland Presbyterian Pastor Rod Dunn. The Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Commissioner Tim Mason. Pastor Dunn.
Well, Father, once again, as we approach you, we have to just pause for a moment and think about the magnitude of what these gentlemen are up to on a regular basis. It's not easy even dealing with your own situations, but they're trying to do it for the good of the county and for the good of the city. For that reason, I ask that you bless them and strengthen them and all their wisdom and all their planning. And I ask you to watch over each and every one that's even here today, that we might be able to receive something that's going to be good and beneficial for our hearts to take place and showcase in this world that we live in. Grateful for the place that we live here in county, in Bradley County, and for everything that you've done, how you always watched over us and blessed us. So we thank you again for a blessing. Thank you again for this thing to be decent and in order, and ask for your presence to be here and help them in every way. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to have a motion for the approval of the minutes. Second for Commissioner Thompson. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Report from the county mayor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. A couple of things to report. First of all, your septic tank report's going well. 221 properties are in process. There's been 13 sewer hookups. 82 permits have been issued. 73 signed contracts. 28 have been inspected and completed. We've allocated $623,000 of the $750. So we're getting close to deciding whether we want to add to or conclude it. Courthouse landscaping, I want to thank Tim Mason's crew. He's been helping us around the courthouse lately with some trimming and pruning and some overall cleanup. We appreciate that. Over the weekend, as some pressure washing was done on the plaza and the front of the courthouse, KAB was the ones that provided that service. So we want to thank both of those. And then we've got some mulch that'll be coming, and hopefully Tim's crew will be able to spread some mulch for us between now and Memorial Day as we get ready for the holiday. Benefits open enrollments are going on this week, so if you have any changes to your benefits, your payroll deductions and so forth that you need to get done, be sure and check the schedule because that's going on all this week for next year. At this time, I'd like to call on Chief Fairbanks, Fire Department's chief. He's got some great news to announce publicly, I guess, for the first time. Talk about Bradley County Fire and Rescue. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. It is a privilege and an honor to be here today. We have been waiting on this for quite some time. I did put a packet in front of your microphones if you haven't, Rich, and got those yet, if you'd like to look at that. We are here to announce today that we have completed our 2022-23 ISO audit. The last ISO audit was in 2014. It was very delayed due to the COVID restrictions that were placed upon everyone. So we started in the fall with the auditors from ISO, and we were able to get it complete. It's went through all the proper chains in our company and ISO's company and has been stamped and approved. And as of August the 1st of 2023, it will go into effect that Bradley County Fire Department and Bradley County is now going to be an ISO rating of 3 from a 4, which is super. And that's much in part to this commission, just as much as it is to the fire department. And it helps the Bradley County residents lower their insurance for the insurance companies that participate in the ISO rating. I have already sent a copy of this to some of our insurance friends that do participate in ISO, and they are very excited that they're going to be able to lower the rates for the people in Bradley County that participate with those companies that use the ISO rating. One in particular insurance company I sent it to called back and talked to me, and he says, you all have done an exemplary job. You have lowered the number by changing the minimum that I can see 9 things in your fire department. So Jeff Stewart, several of the lieutenants and commanders worked hard on this. This ISO audit was a department-wide project. It's a lot of moving parts. You got your emergency communications, your fire department, your water supply. So much stuff goes into the factors of getting your score for ISO. So we have worked diligently, even to the point to where our guys are going out and do the fire hydrant testing, because sometimes the water company doesn't get to it fast enough or can't do it due to manpower. And we send our crews out in those districts, and we test those fire hydrants ourselves and inspect them and try to keep our scores up. I have a copy of 2014's ISO rating on this side, and of course the new one. And when you go down and look at all the numbers, we scored much better in all areas, especially communications and fire department operations. So we're proud of our 911 board for helping us. We're proud of our firemen for doing a great job, and this commission for allowing us to be able to be funded to do those things. So thank you very much. And I'll take questions from anybody if they got it, or answer anything in your packet if you need some help.
Commissioner Blake.
Hey, real quick, how long does this ISO new rating, and by the way, congratulations, good job. How long does this go,
They're supposed to be, we're supposed to be audited every 5 years.
so this rating should be good for 5 years?
Yes, sir.
And so we're at the last one for 5 years, so it's a 5-year increment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Hughes.
Chief Fairbanks, this actually shows to your leadership of the fire department how well it's doing. I am a true believer that it starts from the top down. So congratulations with that. Also, Mr. Chairman, I'd love this ISO audit to be added to the minutes also.
So moved.
Hopefully.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Commissioner.
The 5-mile radius.
No, it's within that 5 miles. The way I'm reading the report, it's within the 5 miles. No, it goes to a 10 if you're outside the 5, to my understanding from ISO. The White Oak area, there's not a lot of houses there and stuff, but along that White Oak Ridge, I think that it stayed a 10. They didn't put a map in here. We have the map, I think, accessible to us, but anything out of that 5 miles is going to be 10. By opening up Prospect, McDonald, and Taylor helped tremendously. And then an automatic aid with Polk County Fire. We help them, they help us on an automatic aid, meaning within so many miles inside their county line and so many miles outside our county line. We were able to accomplish and get that 3 for those folks also on that Polk County border because we help each other out. So we've lowered that number of residents that would be in that 10. So does that answer your question? Yes.
If I could add to that, don't get confused with our 5-mile radius before when we were talking about, this is a 5-mile radius from all of those stations. And it leaves very few people that, but if you're more than 5 miles, you could possibly have a 10, but it's very few people. But before, we talked about a circle around the city of Cleveland, that 5-mile radius. It's not that. It's 5 miles from the station. So adding those other stations, which if you recall, we went with not a battalion at 2 or 3 stations, but we've got people there 24/7, which gives us a first response. So it's spread it much bigger. So it's almost all of Bradley County, I think it's safe to say. I often say we're one of the very, very, very few counties that have a full-time paid fire department for the entire county, no matter where you live. Now, we're one of the very few that have Class 3. City of Cleveland was Class 3 for many, many years. Recently went to a 2, I believe,
Yes.
which is great. I congratulate them. But for a fire department this new to be a Class 3 is sort of unreal. And on the insurance, if you're a company that uses ISO, yes, it's a tremendous savings on insurance, but forget the insurance savings. Just for a department to be a Class 3, that tells you how good the department is. So the citizens, if they're on one of those very big companies that don't use the ISO, they still know they have a very good fire department that's coming to fight their fire, even though their company may not use ISO. You follow me? It's a good way of grading a department. So it's great news. Who would have ever thought when we first started, how many years ago? Not been that many.
If you look on page 6 of your papers I gave you, it actually breaks down countrywide the fire departments and what classes the fire departments hold. And out of the Class 3, there's only 3,583.
That's the
Looks
whole
like
country.
out of
Yeah.
a whole lot more than that, but we're in the 3%.
But we did it in a relative few short years, is my point. So it's a good way of knowing what kind of a fire department you have. And again, go to any of the other surrounding counties and you will not find it, I promise you. At any class, you won't find a full-time fire department, especially not a Class 3. So I congratulate Chief Fairbanks and Jeff, Assistant Chief. They've all, I think, Assistant Chief really worked on this. One of the other things that's really improved since the last one is the water supply too. Anytime we're providing water supply outside the city, that's helping us. And so we have a much better water supply than we had when we first started. And we always require them or request them to put in hydrants, and they do. So that has helped us tremendously. So a good department, good equipment, good fire department. We already had pretty good 911 to back it up, but that's part of the testing also is 911. So 911, water supply in the department and the equipment. We're blessed in Bradley County in many ways, and fire protection is one of those many ways.
Commissioner,
That's all I have unless you have something else.
Commissioner Winters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank
This
you,
has
sir.
been a real challenge for you. And I'm interested in what savings the taxpayer will have. What do
That'll
you
be up to their insurance company.
What do you anticipate? Is there a
I
dollar
have not
amount?
talked to the insurance companies about what 1 point means.
Right.
Maybe we can have
Yeah.
Shelter Insurance or Cleveland Insurance or somebody like that come in and tell you that.
Yeah.
I will try to find that answer out,
Yeah.
but I do not know what
Yeah.
that savings will be. I just know there will be a savings.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Consent agenda. Can I have a? Okay. All right, we've got first and a second. Any discussion, anything need pull or anything? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater. Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 12 in favor, none opposed, and 2 absent.
Thank you very much. Reports from committees and our districts. We start on the left, Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make it brief today. I want to congratulate all the graduates that graduated high school. I remember 1981 is when I graduated, 42 years ago. And I want to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. Of course, I lost my mother in 17, and I know she's rejoicing in heaven. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. Everything's well in the 6th District. I do have a quick TDOT litter grant report. For the month of April, we covered 429 county road miles, 166 state road miles, and 78 city road miles, for a total of 12,440 pounds of litter. And as always, I'd like to say thanks to Missy Harrison and Thomas Bell. They're my right and my left hand. When I'm doing environmental stuff and in court and stuff, they're rolling things right along for for all of us in our districts and stuff. So I want to say a big thank you to them. And that's all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Slater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Education Committee met last Tuesday. We reviewed the school system's budget, which I believe you'll hear more about in the meeting today. We also talked briefly about the capacity study that is being done at all of the schools in the county school system. And that study is, I believe, Dr. Cash, is supposed to be finished sometime in June. And then we will have a formal discussion about what the data shows us from the capacity study. I'd like to recognize an individual today that is serving as the director of schools for today. So, Nolan, if you'll come up to the podium. So if you'll introduce us, tell us what pull the microphone down. Yeah, there you go. I've known Nolan ever since he was born, and he's a fine young man, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. So go ahead, Nolan. Tell us your name, what grade you're in, where you go to school, all that good stuff.
My name is Nolan, and I'm in 3rd grade, and I go to Michigan Avenue, and
what do you want to be when you grow up?
a police officer.
Okay, a police officer. Okay, very good. All right. Have you learned anything today in serving as the director of schools today? No?
Wait, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know? Well, has Dr. Cash at least bought your lunch today?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you for being here today, Nolan. I know you're excited to get back to school and join.
I'm really not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're glad you're here today, Nolan. Thank you for being. Do you have anything you want to share with us today before you sit down, or I don't know if y'all are staying or what you're going to do?
No.
Okay. All right. Are you looking forward to school being out?
Yes.
Okay. How many more days? 8.5 if you're counting, I think.
8.5?
I think it's 8.5. Yeah, it's almost over.
anymore.
So, all right. Thank you for being here today, Nolan.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I wish to recognize Corinne Freeman from the Caring Place. She's going to give us an update on how they have spent their ARP funds that they were awarded last year. Thank you for being here today, Corinne.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Slater, fellow commissioners, and Mayor Davis for allowing me the opportunity to share with you our award that we received in 2022 for the American Rescue Plan funding for housing instability. I'm very thankful for your trust and your partnership to serve our neighbors who are experiencing housing instability, either through lack of shelter or financial insecurity. And these funds really did make a difference in addressing the gaps of housing in our community. It helped to not only serve the individuals, but the community as a whole. And I'll share a little bit about that as well. But on behalf of the Caring Place and our neighbors, thank you. Thank you for your partnership. All funds were received and expended by December 2022 as agreed, and that final report was submitted to the Southeast Tennessee Development District, and they've reviewed that and cleared all of that. We used $78,896 to assist neighbors with homeless prevention. So that's rent assistance to prevent homelessness, which is really the best practice way of addressing housing instability, is to try to keep folks housed. $11,104 were provided for rapid rehousing. That means that we use those funds to help neighbors move from homelessness to housing. And then the remaining $10,000 was used to purchase food from local suppliers and the Chattanooga Area Food Bank, which offset some costs that were dramatically increased from the COVID-19 pandemic with the resulting inflation. We provided assistance to 84 unduplicated households, but we provided support and housing case management to 499. And I wanted to note that difference because those funds, that 499 households, while they may not have received direct financial assistance and our agency didn't necessarily bill for that time, that still allowed the opportunity for us to connect to those neighbors and potentially connect them to other resources that were better suited for their situation, and or just provide them with stability planning so that they could address their concerns. That did not include families that were served through other programs that we offered, such as the Housing United program, which is in collaboration with United Way. And Housing United is a United Way program we provide the case management through. And the average cost of assistance was about $1,071 for each of those individuals. Now, the more important part that I wanted to share, though, is that 95% of the individuals that we helped remained housed for 6 months or longer. So, and that's huge. To be able to retain that housing makes a significant difference. And the reason for that significant difference is that because it saves taxpayers money. Every time that we're able to help one of our neighbors to achieve housing stability, then that means that our whole community actually benefits. For each one of those neighbors, it's a savings of about the National Interagency Council on Homelessness estimates about a savings of $30,000 per neighbor that we're able to assist. And so our community, through our neighbors for moving from homeless to housed, that was $150,000 return on investment for those funds. That was how much we were able to save the community. And it also allowed, because you were able to help us to kind of bridge that gap in some funding that came through for housing. Because of that, it gave a continuation of services, and that allowed the Caring Place to be poised in a competitive place to apply for some more funding from the THDA, the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. And through that, we were honored to be one of only 17 agencies chosen in the state of Tennessee to be awarded for emergency eviction prevention funds for those who are low income or very low income. It's a lot more restricted, but it is there. And then we were also only one of 3 agencies in East Tennessee, one of 8 in the entire state, that was able to receive Tennessee Home ARP Supportive Services Grant. Those 2 grants together total $800,000 that our community will have access to continue to address homelessness and housing in our community. So I want to thank you because your decision to use these funds last year to invest in strengthening the continuum of care with our agency, along with some other wonderful agencies and partners, has really moved us closer to a community that can see an end to homelessness. I truly believe that that's possible. We've seen it work. We know that that happens. And if we continue to work together and to collaborate effectively and invest wisely in services that help increase resources and opportunities for our neighbors, we can see that here in Bradley County. So thank you so much for your investment, your partnership, and your time. Thank you.
Do we have any comments, questions, Commissioner?
So when you're able to help the homeless like that, what does that look like? How do you go about doing that?
So I'll try to be as brief as possible in that, Commissioner Gilbert, because it is a long journey in some cases, but it starts primarily with outreach, with connection. So we want to connect to somebody who is experiencing homelessness, and then we want to invite them to participate in that process to connect to resources. We do operate on what is called a housing first model. That is the evidence-based practice that is endorsed by all levels of government and social services agencies as the most proven effective model. And what that means is that we don't expect you to do a lot of hoops before we house you. We want to house you so that then you can work towards stability, because it's really hard to worry about securing and maintaining employment if you don't have a place to consistently shower every day. If you don't have a place to consistently go to bed at night. What if you get a second shift job and our community shelter does a wonderful job, but that doesn't always work with their scheduling to have those types of employment. So we try to house first, and then we work on intensive case management services. That means that we're visiting with them on a very regular basis. We're talking about stability planning. We're providing professional case management services to say, okay, let's look at budgeting, let's look at employment, let's look at these kind of things so that we can really start moving forward. Because the goal is that we want you to become housed. We want you to move to be able to take care of and be responsible for your housing on your own consistently. And then we want you to be able to transition to being, continuing to be a wonderful and valued part of our community and be a thriving member of that to give back. So
I've been studying a little bit about homelessness and stuff, and watching some videos of different counties and different states and stuff, and I'd really like to get with you and talk.
Absolutely. So I welcome anybody to come, and I'm happy to give a tour at the Caring Place to talk more about the services. So absolutely.
Thanks.
Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, ma'am. Y'all are building a building over in front of the Justice Center.
We are.
How far are you to completion of that building?
So the projected construction of that facility is slated for next spring. And none of the funding, of course, was utilized for that construction. But that project will allow us to both continue our services as we're providing now, and then also to expand those case management and supportive services for those experiencing a lack of housing. And so, but that project is slated for next year. The fundraising for that is about halfway through. Inflation continues to be my nemesis, but we're working on that.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate the work you're doing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could just add, Corrine, thank you for the job you do, for spending that money wisely. I wasn't going to ask you anything, but we appreciate the job you do, and you are making progress on the new home now. It's starting to look good out there. We're happy for you, so thank you for everything.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Goins. Commissioner Thompson.
Fourth is all right.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Yes, I went to Bradley High School in Walker Valley's graduation, and Candace Belt, you done an amazing job, and Patrick Spangler is amazing. We got some leadership in our high schools that is absolutely phenomenal, and I just want to thank everybody for the jobs they do. And I went to Cleveland High Schools, and man, they graduated a bunch of kids too. So thank y'all for what you do. That's it for me.
All right. Commissioner Winters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually wearing a tie and a sport coat today because of Mother's Day. We have great mothers in Bradley County. The strength in our community lies in the ladies that are here, that have families. And I don't know how many of you fellow members have mothers that you think are the best that there ever could be. I do. And I think you could raise hands that we would not be the men that we are today without our mothers. And there are many single mothers that are taking care of kids and taking care of their careers, their jobs, doing all the things out there. We're very blessed to have mothers. My mother always told me when I went out the door to just remember who you are. That's all she had to say to me. And every day, my mom talks to me, my dad talks to me sometimes. My dad's a little more aggressive to me than my mother. But there are things that we have learned as men from our mothers, and it's made us better people. My dad dealt a lot with my brain. My mother dealt a lot with my heart. To look at people, look them in the eye, tell them they're important to you. Spend time with people. Don't just look at them. So I learned a lot from my mom, but I figured I'd wear a tie. I don't usually wear a tie to these meetings unless I just have to all the time. There are times I have to wear a tie, but today I'm doing that in honor of my mother. And for you that had a chance to hug on yours, for those that are looking and listening, if you didn't get to see your mother, you need to do that this week. Mine's been gone almost 7 years now, and I remember her every day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll echo Commissioner Winters' comments on moms. I had a chance, waited till last night to call her, and I interrupted her bingo game, but I did talk to her for a few minutes and tell her that I love her and I appreciate everything she did. Mr. Chairman, for our fiscal year 2023-2024 budget preparation calendar, today is the Bradley County Schools budget hearing. Dr. Linda Cash and Finance Director Susan Wilcutt will go through their budget request. And I invite any of you to ask any questions if you would recognize her.
Certainly. Commissioner Susan?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present our budget today. Happy, of course, to tell you that we have presented you with a balanced budget. I believe those documents made it to the mayor's office last Thursday after the board approved it on Wednesday afternoon. And most of you have already seen this presentation at least once, possibly twice. So I was asked to just hit the high points of what we actually are projecting in this budget. So let me get to the right slide and we will get started. So these are our major highlights that take up the most money out of this budget. I think I went too far. So we are funding step raises. That's costing approximately $630,000. We're funding a 4% across the board raise for all salaried employees. That costs approximately $2.5 million. And then we were asked to match or exceed surrounding district scales, and that cost an additional $3.3 million. So we pulled all of these out into one screen so that we could let you know that these are for the employees that are currently on our pay scale. These are not additional positions. We will cover that on the next slide. But we wanted to let our employees especially know, and of course this commission, that we have budgeted about $6.43 million to increase our salary scales. Also, you've been hearing me talk for about 3 years about all the ESSER money that we were able to transfer several of our positions over to ESSER, and they were legitimately able to be covered in that so that we could take that money and do some other things at the school system, primarily capital projects, maintenance, that type of thing at our schools. We knew there was a day coming that those would have to come back, at least a lot of them. And thank goodness for TISA funding coming in, because one of the things that they've told us is their goal is to kind of sustain a lot of the things that ESSER was providing for. So we were actually directed by the state a couple of different things. They wanted salaries up, and they also wanted to be able to sustain a lot of this learning loss and acceleration goals that was caused from COVID. So we had about $890,000 come back from ESSER. We had to pick up IDEA positions, approximately $315,000. We are projecting new position growth in ADM numbers and learning loss acceleration goals. Again, that's TISA recommendations. That's approximately going to take up $1.23 million. And then because we expect our PI Center to be fully operational next year, there's about $483,000 added for positions there. Other highlights are that we're funding a 6% health insurance increase. This has not been voted on yet. It will be voted on later in May, but this is what we are projecting. That will cost the system an additional $750,000. We've added $100,000 to be sent to our schools. We already did this, but it helps them cover copy machines, maintenance, and repairs at the school level. And we actually added $100,000 to that. We have allotted $580,000 for our new bus contract. And then another thing that had to come back from ESSER is one of our computer school platforms, which is called Edgenuity, and that's at our virtual school. That's $161,492. We are also allotting $800,000 for our first year of technology refresh since we got the one-to-one initiative. So we are actually projecting like a phase-in of that. I think that Scott Webb may have provided that to the Education Committee. He actually has it, I think, on a 5-year rotation. So this will be the first rotation of that. We are also funding over $4 million for capital outlay, and that includes building improvements for our buildings and grounds of $1.67 million. We are allotting $212,500 for transportation and technology. There's an undesignated line item which we allot to our maintenance supervisor for dealing with unknown repairs and maintenance during the year. That's $118,168. We include our Bank of America energy payment of $424,549. And then there are safety upgrades that amount to $1,605,341. The complete capital outlay list has been vetted by both our school principals and the capital outlay committee, and that recommendation is included in the budget you just saw the highlights on. And I'm through with the highlights, but I will go ahead and cover this because I usually do get questions about the fund balance. The undesignated fund balance is currently around 6.5%. We anticipate after our year-end roll to increase that to approximately 9.2%, which equates to $9,432,390. And I will stop right there and try to field any questions or concerns that you have about the budget.
Any questions?
Yeah, real quick, Susan. After our education committee meeting the other day, I chatted with Sheriff Lawson. Is the Pie Center considered one or two schools? Or do you, if you can,
Well,
because of the
so
SRO
the Pie
money?
Center has been given a school number, and that's basically for our work-based learning programs. But then we also have Goal and Virtual that are located over there. So it's kind of a dual answer. There are 3 schools that are housed at the Pie Center, but Pie in itself is also a school.
The reason I
know
ask
that's
is I guess the
confusing.
SRO money is per school, and that's what you and I were chatting about. But we'll get to that. I want to highlight one thing. That's all. Is the $1.6 million that they're allocating for security of our schools or the Bradley County school system. I think that's a very important number for us to all recognize. That is dedication. That is understanding how important it is to keep our young people safe. I know there's some comments that were made on social media and all that kind of stuff that we're lacking, but I applaud Dr. Cash and you and everybody in the school system for allocating that kind of financial backing on the security of the schools. Then last, obviously, as we get to this point in our budget process, thank you very much for getting all your amendments to the Finance Committee throughout the year. I appreciate you. She attends every Finance Committee meeting, and also Ellen. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for all of your support. The committees that we deal with have been amazing. And really, this commission, the support that you give us, we could not do any of this without you guys being so great to work with. Thank you so much. And if I could maybe go to the last screen, because that brought up a good point. I really have to always thank, on that second bullet point, thank you to this county commission, the mayor's office, the trustee's office, and assessor's office for working together to support education and being such good stewards of taxpayer money. It really is a team effort, and I really appreciate the team I get to work with. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Winters.
Okay.
We have seen and we've been involved in trying to deal with the competition that's a competition against this district, both several of again, very much so in education. It's very important that you all have stepped up as you have. We would be losing many of the cream of our crop of teachers and possibly even administrators without your support and actually doing the heavy lifting of this. We've had to deal with other areas, and we're looking at how we can do the other competition. But now, with other districts doing their thing of raising salaries, raising benefits, you all have moved to your transportation. That's been very crazy for you all, having to get bus drivers and contractors for us. And you've done a great job of doing that. You've really saved this great education system to keep people in place that now can take care of their families better. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, thank you for the great job that you do. I have one question, and I'm just, out of curiosity, if you can just clarify for me, this Bank of America energy payment, exactly what is that for?
So, and I'm trying to think, what year are we in? Years ago, about the year that I guess I became finance director, I was already working at the central office, but I wasn't really involved in this process. But we actually replaced all the windows basically across the district. I think it also included a lot of HVAC replacement, some kitchen equipment replacement. It was supposed to, when it was started, the goal was that we would save enough money on maintenance, on electricity, and that kind of thing to make the payment. And for the first few years, we actually had a company that was tracking that to make sure that that was happening. But it is a long, long-term debt. it actually gets counted, as the mayor loves this, but it actually gets counted on the county debt because county schools cannot carry it. But because this is kind of happening statewide, they allow the schools, we pay it. We have to allot the money for it. It's a yearly cost of that amount of money. It's a big ticket item for 30 it's a 30-year note. But did you say 2036 that will be paid? But we are we take that off the top because we never want this county to ever have to pay a dime of that. That is, we feel like it's our debt, whether the comptroller's office counts it as our debt or not. And we are very conscious about that.
I think the total was about $18 million, if I'm not mistaken, and it renovated, upgraded all the older schools in our school system. It gave Prospect and a couple of the others that were 60 years plus in age, gave them new life. And it saved the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money on having to replace a couple of those schools. So I think it pays for itself. It exceeded the savings exceeded the payment, as I understand it, for the first several years.
We tracked it for a few years. We had to pay for that service. So once we kind of felt comfortable that it was doing what it said it would, we cut that service off because we felt like that was money that we didn't have to use. But I will say one thing. I came through this system. I'm not sure how old Hopewell is. It's old. It's older than me. And it was amazing to me when I made visits to the schools after that happened. It was hard for me to tell which schools were the old schools and which were the newer schools because there's so many windows. It just changed the whole facade of most of our schools.
One more question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mull, was he responsible for, I knew he was our energy conservation
I believe
officer.
he was the one that negotiated that deal. He's our energy director, and he was very, very beneficial in that.
Just want to send out a thank you to him because over the years of being here for the commission and, getting newly elected in May, I seen that, heard that many times as we were here. So I want to thank him for the work that he done, the hard work that he done on that part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mayor?
Thank you, Susan. We did the similar thing with the courthouse and annex and justice center too, Tommy, the energy grant, except that debt's not on the schools. I tried to put it in all together, but they wouldn't accept it. Two things. First of all, if you're one of those that's looking, why do they have a fund balance? And Gary says it has to be this amount. They get revenue throughout the year. They get the quarterly state BEP or whatever it's called now. So they're not totally dependent on property taxes like we are. Our fund balance has to be much bigger to get us to December and January. So don't let her fund balance percentages skew you in what our fund balance needs to be. Totally different revenue streams. I also want to thank them. They've been fortunate to get the revenue to have balanced budgets. That's great. Anybody that can come to us with all of those improvements and still have a balanced budget, we're all for. But I can assure you, it's not always been that way. I remember years when we had to say, hey, take not these people. It's been many years ago. We'd have to tell the schools, take this budget back. It's not balanced. You're going to have to balance it and bring it back to us. We can't change their budget, but we can tell them to balance it. And we used to have to do that. So that's just to say thank you to this group of people. They're doing a great job, and we appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you again.
Is that it? Okay, we'll go on then to Commissioner Alford.
Second District's doing well. I was up by Charleston the other day. Ms. Laurie, would you ask HCI director to look into progress on their basketball and pickleball courts? Because I've been by there several times. I don't see much progress being made. I don't know who's in charge of that now, but we need to check on it, please, would you? Thank you.
I don't want to steal the commissioner's thunder. I've been by there too. He's been very nice, I think. Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, I see many people from my district here. I'd like to welcome to the meeting today. I also see the AG or UT AG manager hiding back in the back. Hannah Godson How's the UT doing? now? Otherwise, I have nothing else to report.
Commissioner Beatty.
Out in the first district, we've been having a lot of problem on Hannah Road with dogs roaming free. And one of them people out there's dogs has to go see a vet several times. But the sheriff department's been out there and talked to people next door, but they just keep roaming free. And they was wanting to know if the commission can do anything about it. Are they a leash law in Bradley County?
There is a state leash
They
law.
are a leash law, state leash. I reckon I just talked to them. But they need to just keep contacting the sheriff department about that.
I think you contact the sheriff's department and they will take action only if the dog or animal is a threat.
It's on their 29, they got 29 acres, and the dogs just keep running on them. They've talked to the people about it.
Commissioner Thompson.
Put it off on them.
Right now, the sheriff department, that you can call them and they'll help any way they can, but they'll let you know real quick if they're not a dog pickup.
We're under contract with SPCA. The contract amount is in excess of $200,000 a year, but their responsibility is not to go out and pick up dogs that are in violation of the leash law, state leash law. They will pick them up if they're deemed a threat by the sheriff's department. They'll come out and pick them up, and they will accept them. But it gets down to a point, where do you want your money to go for the taxpayer? We're spending over $200,000 now. City spends close to $600,000. So it's an issue that needs to be discussed. I agree.
Okay. I'll tell them. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mayor?
Could I jump in? I forgot to mention you. He said something about Hannah Goodson, reminded me. We appreciate Hannah's helping us out at the plaza. One of her employees helped us, I guess, put together a plan on what to do about pruning and not pruning and so forth on the plaza. We used to pay a outside firm to do that, and they hadn't been doing it too much lately, so we reached out to her office, and they were good at helping us put together the plan. So that plan, along with Tim's people, has come a long way, and it looks a whole lot better. And we appreciate it, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? We go on down to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Commissioner Hughes, second. Commissioner Mason. Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 12 in favor, none opposed, and 2 absent.
Thank you. Agenda item A will now go into a public hearing. It's dealing with the resolution to rezone from forestry, agricultural, residential, farming district to highway commercial, C3 district property located at 2929 Harrison Pike and identified by tax map 040N Group A Partial 005.08. Commissioner Hughes is our representative on the Planning Commission, but I'll open it up for anyone in the audience that is for or against this rezoning. You have an opportunity to speak. Does anyone? Right here, please.
Joseph. I live at 2933 Harrison Pike. The property in front of us has been turned into a junkyard. There are numerous wrecked vehicles. There are portions of vehicles. There's a bus there, there are long trailers, and there's a lot of just junk. This depreciates our property and those around me, and it is such an eyesore. So I am totally against the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against? Your name, please.
I'm Tammy Seago, and I live on Harris Creek Trail. I have 80 acres, and I have a creek that comes through my property. She's right. This area on Harrison Pike is an eyesore. It has several broken down vehicles on it. And there are a couple other places in that area that are equally as bad. And I have 40 acres for sale I've been trying to sell. And again this week, when somebody toured the property, they did ask about cleanup on this area of Harrison Pike. They didn't want to buy a property and have the value depreciate when they're plan on putting a nice home on it. So again, it's probably no sale. But I'm also concerned about when we get flooding in the area, because at least on my land, that low area is in a flood zone. And I frequently get debris that includes filters off of vehicles, trash bags full of trash that end up floating down the creek and are deposited along the creek bank in my fields that I'm pick up frequently out of the fields and take off to the dump. So that's my opinion on it. It's just another place that needs some cleanup and work.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Well, we got on this subject right now.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name's Phil Harper. I live at 2960 Harrison Pike, which is directly across from the junkyard. Has brought my property values down. I have almost 14 acres there. My home's valued at over $456,000. My real estater told me you'd be lucky you could get $275,000 out of it. We have cleaned it up. We keep it clean. But this is an eyesore for anybody going out Harrison Pike that wants to buy a home or build a home out there. One man started, which is next to the junkyard, quit because it is an eyesore. And I don't think it should be there and bring down all of our property values for a junkyard in the middle of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a little bit of information for the people that are complaining. This property was already in violation of zoning. That letter was sent by our former zoning officer. Then, since then, they have asked for the rezoning to this issue, which would allow garages on it, which would continue the oil filters and so on that's there. It's been done. I think we are working on it. We're trying our best as far as the zoning side of it. A lot of it depends on what happens today to where we move with it, honestly. But we're trying. That's the only thing I'd say.
This gentleman back here has been standing up and sitting down 4 or 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
I'm Darrell Sullivan, the owner of 2929 Harrison Pike. Okay, I do not have no problems with cleaning the property up. But anybody that's in here knows that oil filters do not flow. When you put them in water, we can go buy a brand new one, bring buckets in here and set it in, it will sink. So there's no debris. I think Mr. Hughes is the one that recommended having the water tested and came out. There's nothing coming off my property. I think it's Mr. Towle, came out there, I've got his card. But anyway, he came out and checked it, says there's no water, no oil coming from my place to the creek. But I do not mind cleaning it up. It has been wet. And it's just now to say, it's like the property line. I'm waiting on Mr. Tenpenny, then we're gonna do Miss Joseph, because I've already had it surveyed, because they were saying the building was too close. So I've been taking care of that, that's southeast. But I do not mind cleaning it up, put a privacy fence and get rid of the wrecked cars, but I just don't want somebody saying, putting oil stuff in it. It's not coming from here. I mean, I don't mind doing all y'all's things, hate it if I've hurt. Please don't say it. Crash.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
I don't do a junkyard, I do transmit. But I did have a truck, my son was turned over, crashed, to make sure it's getting out of there.
Commissioner Ledford.
Yes, sir. How long has this junkyard been there?
I
How
bought
long?
the place 4 years.
How long?
4 years.
Okay.
I grew up right beside it. That was my uncle's place. House right beside it's
How long has vehicles, I know the property, I see it as I go down that way sometimes. How long has those vehicles, I think they're on the left going down, is that correct?
that way.
Going down Harrison Pike? Okay. But how long has it been termed junkyard?
It's never been.
Okay.
Never been qualified. It's never, the only thing I've ever done is transmission.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hughes, you're the representative on the planning commission. Just
Mr. Ledford,
just hold this a second. Let me get, before I get to you, because I want you to summarize all of this. Commissioner Goins.
Like if it gets approved or not approved, what will that entail on the improved and not improved? How will that?
They have the right to fall again for the rezoning.
Okay. Is this something that could be done contingent, putting a fence up around it?
Trailers is for my race car, not for equipment. Y'all was complaining about, and the bus does move. Yeah, I do have parts in it, but it does crank and move.
Thompson.
Did, Mr. Hughes, does the planning commission pass this, pass planning?
It failed unanimously. My major concern with the property was putting a business there. There is a fire department that's just up from it. I've lived out in that area my entire life. If you pull off from Hughes Road, which runs right in front of the property, kind of a blind curve, it's hard to see. If you put more traffic on that, I was worried about pedestrian or basically safety. That was my issue with it and the reason I voted against it.
Mr. Chairman, what I would like to do, you say that you're in the process of getting it cleaned up, or
What about that?
somebody is, or whatever. Are you process cleaning it up, or are you doing any improvements on it?
We've hauled a bunch of cars out of there.
Yeah. That, if I could, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we table this thing until, like something.
We don't have a motion
We
yet.
haven't made a motion.
You don't have a motion yet?
We don't have a motion.
Just a
Okay.
public hearing.
Commissioner Winters.
Sir, they've said several times that this has been a junkyard. Have you realized that your neighbors have felt like your property has been a junkyard for this
My
period of time?
neighbors has not said nothing to me. Miss Whaley, I wave at her all the time.
Yeah.
Never said nothing. In the newspaper, they said they came to my place and talked to me or called me. Nobody has called me
Mhm.
complaint one time. The guy that started the complaint, sitting back here, I have no problem. Been sitting right beside him all day. Of course, do not have a problem.
He's closer
But
to
he
you
said,
now.
He's
He's
closer
closer to you now.
So, but I don't have a problem with that. But
Yeah.
like I said, in October, when the complaint was at, ground was wet, and I'll do a lot of stuff. I did have a heart attack, but that has no,
Was it this, does the property you have look this way when you bought it?
well, my uncle had it, and it used to look a lot worse than that
Yeah.
before my aunt.
Yeah.
But
Well-
we're cleaning it up, trying to, straighten it up.
I drive that way a lot too. Go to Eaton, go to Chattanooga, go through there. That entire lane to me has a lot of cars, a lot of old cars laying out there, rusting out. And I wonder myself, why, what do people do with that property? Just let it rot in front of them? Because that's not maybe exactly yours, but some up above you. When you,
Some
dr-
above
when
me
you
and
drive
some
through,
below me.
when you drive through that, and this is a residential area for these folks here. They live there every day. I tell you, as I've driven through there, I've asked myself, how can these folks live across from some of that going on there? So you're saying at this point that you would change all this, but it looks to me like that's been a kind of a continual problem. I'm concerned that the county itself and us here have allowed, I don't know what people do with cars in their yard that's been there for 20 years. I don't understand that part. You could have it taken off and probably get $400 or $500 for somebody selling it for metal. But I've never really understand in the county where people can live with the cars they've had for the last 5, 10 years, laying around for other people to see as they drive through. And that's what I'm seeing on Harrison Pike going down through there on that side of the road. So you just inherited some of that, I'm sure. But I get what these ladies are saying, what the other gentleman's saying. This is their home where they live.
Yeah, and I understand what the other gentleman said. Because the guy down below me, y'all can't do nothing because his grandfather's in.
Yeah.
But, that's a whole different.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, hey, just trying to work a business. I don't mind doing what y'all asked me to say or asked me to do.
Yeah.
I don't mind cleaning up. But the only thing I do mind is please don't be saying I'm putting oil.
Oh, yeah.
It was in the paper.
Well, I've said it. Yeah.
Showing that it's coming from my property down.
What are you going to put on? You going to put a car lot on your property?
No, the only thing I want to do is build
Transmissions. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hughes, as being the commission's representative on the planning commission, can you summarize this and hopefully make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, let me go ahead and just make a motion. I think you've heard enough from me already and everyone else. So with that, Mr. Chairman, this resolution is to rezone from Forestry, Agriculture, Residential, or FAR District to Highway Commercial C3 District, property located at 2929 Harrison Pike, and identified by tax map 040N, Group A, parcel 00508. You can see these on pages 51 through 52, and I put that in form of motion.
Form a motion to approve or disapprove.
The motion's there just to go up somehow. I have to second.
Or do I have a second?
What was the motion? Follow the committee?
It's a
Follow the
resolution.
committee.
I was made in form of motion.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna try to help you guys a little bit. This one's done a little unusual because with zoning requests, you are legally obligated to vote them up or down. So we've had some issues in the past. The Planning Commission did not recommend approval, but you all do have to take action to either approve the rezoning or to deny it. So the reason why Commissioner Hughes is putting it on the agenda is because you all have to vote it up or down. So just to clarify why it's being done this way and what you have to do. We've done it before as a negative, and that gets confusing as well. So basically, if you vote for this resolution, you would be approving the rezoning. If you vote against it, you would be approving it to be denied. So it needs to happen this way so that you vote it up or down.
I second the nomination.
Not a nomination.
It's the motion.
All right, we've got a first and a second, and what we're doing is like the county attorney just said, if you vote yes on it, you are approving it. If you vote no, you are denying it. Does anybody have any question on that?
We're approving what?
We're approving the rezoning of this property. If we vote yes, we are disapproving it. If we vote no. Okay.
I have one question, sorry. If we don't approve this, does that mean he can't run his business anymore?
It means that he can request another rezoning.
So he starts over.
It starts over, basically.
Just rezoning.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Everybody know that. I ain't gonna sit here and be quiet about it, but I was the one that filed the complaint. We've already got one real bad place out there, as far as I know, it's been grandfathered in.
I don't understand that.
60 or 70 cars sitting there for years. But I was one who filed the complaint about the junkyard.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert, you have a comment?
Hey, sir. So when we vote this yes or no, if we vote it down, it means that you get to go apply again, right? Is that right? So what if we was to vote, is that right?
There would need to be a change of circumstance.
Yes.
If you vote it down, what would happen is he is confined to the zoning, which is FAR, which is the current zoning. So to the extent he's in violation of FAR, he will continue to get notices and will have issues with the planning office and zoning office about his use of the property. He will have to use the property consistent with FAR.
So if you go back and clean it up to your neighbor's liking and make it a nice business.
Oh, that's the reason we're trying to,
You can,
get it
and get it
cleaned up.
prepared, then you can come back, right?
Come back to the planning.
And
Okay.
we're trying to get it cleaned up. And if the planning committee would do it, we're trying to put a nice 40 by 60 garage up. That way everything will be pretty much inside.
Before we call the roll, I want to say one more time. If you vote yes, you are approving it. If you vote no, you are disapproving it. Is this correct? Commissioner Hughes.
One last reminder, the planning commission did recommend not to approve this.
Right. Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
No.
Hughes,
No.
Alford,
No.
Cry,
No.
Blake,
Nope.
Gilbert,
No.
Thompson,
No.
Goins,
No.
Slater,
No.
Mason,
No.
Ledford,
No.
Winters.
No.
That's none in favor, 12 opposed, and 2 absent.
Thank you. We're now out of public hearing. Back to business, communication from the audience. The lady sitting there had something to say, please.
My name is Mary Thompson, and I know that this is the Lord's house, and that the Lord's got his hand in each house of his. And that I was wanting to say, since y'all mentioned the repair of the courthouse at the front steps, the left banister is loose, because I like the feel going down the front steps on the left side. And I also want to speak about Cleveland Utilities water supplies. I hadn't spoke with them. I hadn't had a chance to speak with them, but they have mold in their water. They have mildew in their water. I had seen it on TV, but I had a glass of water Saturday, and I just could not drink it. And my dog would not drink it. And I'm going to speak with them. You know, I'm just letting y'all know since I'm here. And I also wanted to let y'all know about the band, the contraband that is on the internet, like Amazon. There is keys that could open anybody's door and go in their house and steal their property. There is also keys to the car to open people's car doors and start the ignition. And I hadn't seen half of the stuff because I hadn't really searched. I happened to see those two things, the keys to the car and the keys to the door, because I'm suffering with a major problem at my home with a neighbor that has just about cleaned my house out. And I've got to take care of that issue. And people are using this device from China. It is called ultrasonic wave device, that it can come into any building and it can spy, and it can get you billfold, it can get your ID, it can get the business it can get the business information, like in the government offices or in any place. And it can also shut down the devices like computers, and it can cause all trouble. It can tear up and going into the homes, people's homes, being able to see people's naked bodies, and just what you do in your home every day. And I mean, it just takes your freedom from you, and I'm experiencing that. I have been everywhere trying to get help, and I understand it better. I mean, it needs to be done away. It is China's product that is here in the United States. It's been available on the market for 6 years. And I know of an individual, it's all the way from another town, which is in the state of Texas. He's here in Cleveland, Tennessee, that he has run out with his scamming. And he's here in Cleveland, Tennessee to find out information and to go and rob people in Cleveland, Tennessee. It can go in any building. And a person traveling and stuff. I worked at McDonald's and up at Charleston, Tennessee. And these two people, these two scam artists, which I didn't really know about one of them until here the other day, that come into my home and stole all of my ID out of my billfold, stole my tablet, stole my cell phone, and I have no ID. And kept stealing my bank information, my social security number. And it's even made the bank really upset and everything about the situation, which I can't blame them, not at all. I got fired from my job at McDonald's. The owner did not directly tell me that I was fired. He told me that, he just told me in a kind way that, hey, I had to go from there. You know what I'm saying? Because fast as he was getting the equipment fixed in there, as fast as one technician come out the door, by the time he does, another technician has to come in the door. And it was just non-stop. Coke fountains for lunch down and everything. The cash register drawer open and missed $90 out of the cash register drawer. And people's billfolds missing. And they are robbing people with this ultrasonic wave device machine that is spiritual warfare. It's been fought in the air. And I would go to the Senate. I would go to Governor Lee. But hey, these people do not answer their phones no more. They do not have secretaries answering their phones anymore. They are not able to return their calls, I don't guess. But I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep on pushing this. I am not giving up here because, hey, it just destroys your livelihood. It takes your livelihood away from you. And then they can put this machine inside of your body and just beat your body and just stick your body with pins and everything.
Your 5 minutes are up. Do you desire?
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Do I have, yes, sir. Please, sir, come up and please come up to the speaker.
Have that lady stay here. Stay with, get her name and number.
Just to clarify what this lady's talking about is the other night on the government thing, I've been in electronics. I'm 80 years old and I spent my full life in the military. What she's talking about, and the government had a big program on the TV the other night, if anybody watched it, about artificial intelligence. It is a big thing of our government now. Let you all know something. You can be on your phone for 10 minutes, 10 seconds. If artificial intelligence is there, they've got everything you have in your wallet on their thing. It does take but 5 to 10 seconds to take every bit of your information under artificial intelligence.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else care to speak? Yes, sir. Come on up, Doug.
I would just like to
It's working.
Send him a bill.
That wasn't really what I came up here for.
You're supposed to drop the mic. Drop it after you speak.
Don't think I'm quite at the mic drop point.
Mic drop.
Just like to remind all of you that Formulated Solutions grand opening celebration is tomorrow at 11 a.m. And I know that we've sent all of you a notice, but we would hope that you can join us for that celebration. They're one of our new additions to the community.
Thank you very much. That's the old Dr. Scholl's building for you old timers out here on Michigan Avenue. Anyone else care to speak? All right, announcements. I don't see it on here, but we have a road committee meeting coming up what day, Tim? That's on page 2. Solid Waste Formulated Solutions. No, I don't.
That's the 30th, isn't it?
All right, anyway, we'll go down. We've got one, and I wanted to remind people that the TDOT representatives will be here for that road committee meeting to probably address the Walker Valley traffic situation near the high school there.
Chairman, it'll be May the 30th at 9 a.m. here at the Commissioner Room. I've invited Dan Howell will be here, a representative, and he contacted me Friday, said there would probably be 4 or 5 representatives from TDOT here. So any commissioner, for sure, y'all are all invited to come in and to the road committee meeting that day.
This has been a ongoing problem since I know I've been elected. They were supposed to have done some stuff, and they put up that flashing light up there at Walker Valley Road and instead of a traffic light. But we had a young lady almost lost her life here about 3 weeks ago. They thought she was gone, but she survived. Formulated Solutions grand opening May the 16th, 11:30 a.m. till 3 p.m. 4207 Michigan Avenue Road. Juvenile Court membership meeting May the 18th, 9 a.m. the Avenue Church. Michigan Avenue Road Corridor Plan Open House May the 18th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Cleveland Jetport. Solid Waste Landfill Committee May the 22nd, noon here in the Commission Room. Anything else? We're adjourned.